Your about page on Skool is arguably the most important piece of copy that you're going to have on the entire platform. And for your business to really grow, you want to have killer copy. So in this video, I'm going to be going through all of the main points you want to make sure you have on your page. I work with a lot of the Skool Games winners, so just some names you might know if you're on the platform: Ted Carr, Max Pearson, Ryan Schroep. A lot of the Skool Games winners are my clients, and I write their copy. And I have worked with Skool communities doing $7 a month to $9.99 offers. So across the board, these are the fundamental key components that you want to have on your about page. I'm going to keep certain things really high level so that they can apply to every offer, and then get really granular with the things that are consistent across all of the top performing communities. It's super exciting to work with a lot of the Skool Games winners because you get to see all these commonalities and the things that they all do despite having like wildly different offers. Like for example, my client Ryan Schroep, he teaches people how to do transactional lending in the real estate space, whereas Max Pearson is teaching people how to grow communities. So they're like very different offers. There's people on the Skool platform that literally have communities just about like goats, like wild stuff. So anyways, I'm going to go through and I have some notes up that I'm going to be sharing. Somebody gave me some feedback that they want more interactive videos. So here you go. So this is the ultimate Skool about page checklist. This is great for copywriters to know because you can charge really high ticket working with Skool communities. This is also great to know if you have a Skool community. So this video is for both of those people. And I have spent hours and hours tweaking about pages, customizing the graphics, making sure the copy resonates. And like I said, all the way from $7 a month communities to $9.99. And there's the same key components in all successful communities. So I'm gonna have a summary at the end, but I recommend listening. This video is gonna be pretty short and concise, so it's not gonna take long. But I'm assuming in this video, you already have your offer dialed in, you already know what you're selling. If you don't, there's 4 things. This might be helpful. You should probably do some more research on, what is really gonna resonate with your market, look at your skill set, things you enjoy. But there's 4 things that people will pay money for. It's wealth, so teaching them how to make more money; relationships, helping them get better relationships, helping them land more dates, whatever; helping them look better, so beauty, fitness, that kind of niche; and then helping them get out of pain, like chronic pain. Those are the 4 things every single Skool Games winner has an offer within. It's one of those things. So most communities are targeting one of those things. Unless they're really low ticket, then it could be something more vague, but generally it's going to be one of those 4 deliverables that you're offering. All right, moving on. Remember that a lot of these tips are contingent on the price point of your community. So are they buying directly from your community page? Like, are they just logging on, seeing your about page and buying? Or if your community is like $500 a month, they're probably getting on a sales call. Or if it's $1,000 a month, they're probably gonna have to go through that process of getting on a sales call. But these fundamentals actually will apply to your sales calls as well, because it's a lot of just the same concepts that you need to overcome in order to close a sale. So once you have your niche, these are some of the key components that I've seen the biggest Skool communities use in their about page. Number 1 is really good graphics. This is like a first date. You want to make a good first impression because this is what they're going to see first, and this is what they're going to remember, and this is pretty much like going to determine whether they even keep reading your page. So you don't want to show up in pajamas with messy hair. You want to make a good first impression. So most graphics include copy. I would say like all graphics include copy, and you want to make sure the words in your graphics are very intentional. They should all earn their place on that graphic. And it shouldn't just be like a reiteration of your description copy, although there will be some similarities and crossovers. I spent 12 hours on one set of graphics. It was actually one specific page. I spent 12 hours reiterating it, redesigning it, tweaking little things for one client, and it made thousands and thousands of dollars in a matter of weeks. And it was little things like this, just changing the shade, changing the font, moving the text from, being centered to being like oriented to the left, and then like tweaking the images just a tiny bit, changing the frame on Canva. You can use Canva to create some incredible things. I'm going to go into a couple examples. So this is one of the graphics for my free community, Get 3 Years of Condensed Business Expertise. And this is just basically showing them exactly what they're going to get, step 1, step 2, step 3 in the community. And then this is another graphic I made for a webinar that I'm doing on this Thursday, obviously, right here. So this is just something I created to kind of draw in some attention for the webinar, to promote that free webinar that I'm doing. And you can just see it's very easy to read. All the graphics are clean, it's concise, there's not a whole bunch of text, but it gives you exactly the information you need. It tells you, the headline tells you what it is, copywriting workshop. So if you're a copywriter, that's going to catch your attention. Then it gives a little bit of credibility right here, the time, all of the just basic information. And then this is one of the graphics that I created for one of the communities, and I actually had to help. Shout out to Bon. He helped me a lot with this graphic. We came up with the copy and tweaked and edited it a little bit, but we wanted to go for something that was kind of like, it felt like Apple. Like that was the inspiration. It was just clean. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just exactly what you need. And that is like one thing you really want to like focus on in your graphics. Is they don't need to be crazy fancy. They don't need all the colors in the world. Like they don't need a million different calls to action. They need one, and it needs to be a good one. All right. And then I'm going to get into the actual copy aspect of this a little bit later, but just kind of like condensing what's here is basically it's a list of all the deliverables they're getting, and there's nothing that's repeated twice. You'll see right here. They get a one-on-one strategy call, the lifestyle setup, accountability calls, network, and live meetups, and then there's 2 bonuses, which is literally just repackaging other deliverables they're getting as bonuses. That's really smart because it makes them feel like they're getting more than they're paying for. And then also you'll see that everything has a valuation. So that's like a value stack. So we added it up. That's 18 grand worth of courses. And that's just based on like how we would have priced it and like the prices that we see in the market. And then we just, compare that to the price that we're actually charging. That's something that I learned from Max Pearson. So shout out to him. All right, this is another graphic, the fastest way to make $2,500 from your laptop. So again, it's kind of similar to that, like step 1, step 2, step 3. And it's just giving them, the information of what they're going to get inside the course. And it's clean, it's not too busy, but it's a fun graphic still the same. So those are the graphics. Next, we're going to talk about a VSL. This should actually be the first slide of your About page because it's way more engaging. You can have all the good graphics, but you want them to come second to the VSL generally. So my VSL there's a whole video about it. So go watch that video to really get like the full breakdown of a VSL, but just to kind of like condense it here, these are the key elements you want to have in your VSL. Number 1, a problem or a promise to start. Then you want to go into your story, which should be a hero's journey story. And a hero's journey story starts with something super relatable to your client. So it starts by relating where you were at the beginning of the process. So let's say you're a fitness coach. I always use this example. You talk about how you were super overweight, or how you always felt tired, or how you couldn't work out because you were always like, I don't know, you never had time or something like that. You talk about where you were at the beginning, and then you talk about where you are now, and you paint the dream. And in that process, you're overcoming objections because you're talking about something that's super relatable to your potential client, and you're going through the process of what worked for you to get you to that dream outcome. And so they're realizing, oh, like if she started there, that's even worse than where I am. I can relate to that. You're overcoming their objections, and then they can envision themselves having the end result that you now have. So you're painting that dream, and then you want to implement some urgency at the end. So you can do this in a few ways, either limited spots available. You can talk about how like the price is increasing soon, or there's like for maybe 1 week they get a one-on-one call with you, and then that's no longer going to be a part of the value stack. And then you just want to have a call to action. What are they supposed to do after watching that video? Are they supposed to join now? Are they supposed to book a call? Is there a learn more? Is there a form they have to fill out? The call to action generally for Skool is going to be join now or book a call, depending on your price point. If it's an expensive community, then it's probably going to be book a call. All right. So in your graphics and in your VSL and in your copy, you want to have credibility. And you can do this either by using testimonials, if you have them, case studies, just like, screenshots of text messages from beta clients if you haven't had a real client. I really suggest getting a beta client. Learn that from Ted Carr. You really want to get that experience. But let's say you have no results. Well, if you're a fitness coach, you can show your 6-pack, and that's credibility. You can share your story of how you scaled your business if you're in the business niche. Whatever it is, sharing your story is credibility in and of itself, and any results that you have will just establish that additional social proof that other people have worked with you. But you don't need that. You can start with your own proof if that's where you're at. And that's just going to build confidence in the buyer. All right, the actual copy, getting to the written part. So you want to start with a promise, and it should be focused on the outcome, not the process. So if you're in the fitness niche, we're going back to this. The promise is 6-pack abs. The promise is not, here you get a template, you get a workout guide, you get 6 live workout calls every week. That's not the end result. That's the process, and that can be in your bullet point list. But the promise has to be about the end result, because that's really all that they're going to be buying for. They're not buying because they want this template or this work that they now have to do or this homework. They want to have six-pack abs. They want to feel fit. They want to make $10,000. Whatever the end result that you promise is, talk about that at the beginning of your actual copy and also at the beginning of your VSL. Except the VSL is going to be like a story format. But we already went over that. All right, bullets. So this is where you get into the process a little more and the actual tangible deliverables of what you're offering your community. So these should only include the end result focused deliverables. So it still has to tie into that end result, but they can be more process oriented. Do not list anything twice. If there's a way to condense bullet points, do it. Make it as short as possible, for the love of God. Do not make your copy longer than it needs to be. You'll lose people. People just won't read to the end. So as short as possible. The more direct, the better. Using emojis is engaging. It depends on your community. If they're super serious, then don't use funky emojis, but you can still incorporate some fun emojis. This is an example here. So the dollar value is something that we talked about in the graphics. So that's just like literally assigning a value to every deliverable in your bullet point list. And you'll see I use the rocket emojis right here. It just makes it like more fun to read, and it's easier to read too when you list it out like this. So new line for every sentence. And then you list out the total value of what they're getting, and then you list out what they're actually paying. This is just an example. So, all right, moving on to the urgency. Again, we talked about urgency in the VSL. Again, you want urgency in your actual copy. So the end of your copy, why is a prospect motivated to join or to book a call? Like, why should they do it now? Because everyone will procrastinate if you don't add urgency. They will just put it off till tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. So they need a reason to take action now. And this can be limited availability, a finite time frame to join, price increasing soon. Here's some examples. This is something I use. I only work with 5 new clients per month so that I can ensure that I get them good results. Another one that I use, and that's true, is that my priority is my copywriting clients, so that I only take on 5 students per month because I want to make sure they get really good results. That was something I was using a couple months ago before I started building a team. And you want your urgency to be true. Don't make something up. Don't create fake demand. And there's a million different ways to have real demand. Your price can increase every week or every 100 members. And then the CTA is what comes after the urgency. So what should they do with that urgency? And we already talked about this. So should they join now? Should they book a call? So the way I tied in my call to action was I only have 5 spots available. So if the book a call button is still available, I suggest you get your spot now. And then bonuses, that's something you can also have on your about page. It's basically just repackaging your deliverables. You want to write everything in conversational language. So the biggest hack, I tell my clients to do this all the time, is record a voice memo. Like when I send my clients a question, like I'm writing an email for them or something, I send them a question. I'm like, please send back a voice memo so I can just use that, because you naturally speak conversationally. And when people read your copy and it sounds like they're having a conversation with a friend, it's much easier to read, it's more engaging, and there's also like an element of trust there, because it's just like the way that they think is how you're communicating to them, because people think conversationally. So if you're able to communicate that way, it makes it such an easier read. Like, how hard is it to go and read like Shakespeare compared to like reading a text from your friend? It's so much easier to read something that's just like written conversationally. So I highly suggest that. Summary is just make it seem like you're offering so much more than what they're paying for. And those are the main points that I see across the most successful communities. I mean, I work with communities doing 100K a month. So these tips are something that if you implement them, you're going to be able to scale and just hone in on your copy, scale your Skool business. And yeah, you can apply these tips to emails. You can apply them to social posts, whatever it is. Like, these are just like fundamentals of copywriting, but they especially apply to Skool communities. So hope that's helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video.